So, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we will be completing the course of troubleshooting the Kubernetes system. So, in previous two videos, we have completed the basic deployment so that we can do this final part of troubleshooting. By this video, when this video is about to complete, I am sure you will be able to explain any kind of troubleshooting related issue or answers to the interviewer, or it is also beneficial for your own deployment in companies. If you are working with Kubernetes and having issues related to Kubernetes to troubleshoot, then this video is definitely going to help you. So please be very attentive to this video till the end. I will try to cover this video as shorter as I can. So let's start. So just a quick recap. If you remember the last videos, we have covered the deployment part, starting from image creation to the first application in nginx deployment, service deployment, and um, in nginx ingress controller and the relation, what are the requirement for this, why we need nginx ingress controller, all this stuff. In this part, we will be continuing the troubleshooting. So we have the basic setup already there. So let me start share my screen. Here we go. This one. Sure. So if you recall, we ended our video here till here, where we were having the these APIs running. Let me clean up the screen. kubectl get pods service ingress. We ended up our video lastly where we were having these three application deployed, where this one was an error step intentionally kept for troubleshooting so that I can demonstrate you the troubleshooting and the surveys and the ingress. Side by side, we also have enabled the ingress and nginx ingress controller and explain you what is the requirement of for nginx ingress controller. So basically, we covered here till here this part. We just showed, I just covered this architecture to show you that in front, whenever anyone requests for the API, it reaches to the ingress will then route it to the service is then attached to the pod, the specific pod, and then it is handled to the pod. So pod is basically an endpoint which is serving the request. I also have created one more diagram to make it more easier for you to so that you can easily understand the stuff. This is very important diagram for you to understand so that you can in real time troubleshoot all the stuff like if this issue in any application pod API, then you can try to imagine the API connectivity from each of the resources and then find out specific issues that can be. Okay. So this is like starting from front end user. Front end is just like, okay, I if you remember, I have this ingress host created here and it was mapped in my host file. And now I need to access this. Let me drag this video to here and then so it was not working in our previous video. So this is something we have to troubleshoot. So this is some front end that is a front end user is accessing here. Here we are. And then request is then going to nginx ingress controller, that this arrow should be the to the back towards this ingress engine controller. And then further it is routing to the ingress, which is mapped with the routing rules like here. If I show you here, these routing rules, and then further this is further mapped to the service and service is further mapped to the application port. We have a red, app, blue, green, default, whatever we want. This port I intentionally kept to show you that if you are able to see in the screen, this port, don't be confused. Ingress is running with this port 80, service is running with port 8080, but it is targeting with the target container port, target port where the application port is running. And the nginx ingress controller is running already when as soon as we enable with minikube. Get pods -n ingress nginx. This is the default namespace. So here's the ingress nginx controller. So actually what's happening here, as soon as I hit this here, this is the way to troubleshoot. Please be very careful to read or understand this. I am explaining you, this is very important part of any kind of troubleshooting. So whenever I'm requesting this, I'm hitting this API here. It is somewhere this pod is receiving this request. So this is reaching here. It at nginx in this controller. Let's take a look on this log and hyphen and ingress nginx. So if you see, as soon as we hit here, it has created the very recent log. The time zone is just the recent one as per the machine time zone. And here, if you see, is the current request we have just triggered. So it's giving 502 already here, 502 error in connection refused. That's just like this here. So basically, this is coming here, and from here we can see it's reaching to these IPs. These IPs are basically node IP, or you can say pod IP here actually. So if you come again here, kubectl get pod ingress service and with -o wide option. With wide option, you will be able to see the pod IP. If you see this ingress controller, ingress controller is having logs with error, and it is saying that somewhere this is reaching the request at port 8080 and to this node by pod IP. That means it is somehow reaching from ingress controller to ingress to service and then to pod. That's why it's showing the IP. That's why it's knowing the IP. But it is giving issues there, connection refused. This is something we have to troubleshoot. So this is how you have to think or relate this logic here as per this diagram. Like it is reaching from ingress to ingress and it's in this controller to ingress, service, and then deploy. If it is reaching to the pod IP, that means it's able to reach here. But somehow here, because of some reason, it's denying the request or are not allowing the communication. So this is something we will take a look. So as we see in the logs, we are able to see the 502 error. Here the 502 error you can see in the nginx controller port. So now we are sure that it's reaching anywhere to the port. This is the way of troubleshooting. So in general, there can be any kind of issues related to the HTTP error. So there are multiple HTTP error category that I have just displayed in my PPT. I will share in this PPT and this diagram also along with this GitHub wrapper with the complete code to this video at the description of the video. So there are lots of error categories. So basically in troubleshooting part of Kubernetes, we have basically issues related to the pod services related to deployment specifically to the Kubernetes. But and at the same time, we can also have the issues related to the API that is deployed by the Kubernetes. So basically the pod running is serving some API. So if at front and back end, some API can have issues in the access method, maybe in curl or in API command, postman or in browser. It depends on the application front end type. So suppose it's a banking application which is used just to push or pull some data. So at the front end, the user may face some issue related to the 404 error, 502 error, 501 error, 301 error, 201 error, 202 error, any kind of errors. So this is just in general HTTP code. This is not specific to the Kubernetes, but it is in general HTTP code. And since we have deployed the application in Kubernetes, that's why we have to troubleshoot from the backend Kubernetes, because backend is Kubernetes. So if it is deployed in some other applications in servers, standalone server, then we have to troubleshoot in that way. So like we have many error type for HTTP methods. And then this is very important part. This is very important part because this is most of the time asked in interview questions. How to troubleshoot if you're getting this kind of error in the front end API? How is API related to the backend? How you call the API like that? Lots of different type of questions you can see in the interview or in your troubleshooting strategies as well when you're deploying the application in companies. Okay. So if five of something related error, four something related error, Then you have for specific error type, there's a specific category. So 5.0 category error comes for server error code. The client made it valid request, but the server failed to complete the request because of some error in connections. 4 category comes in, the server could not find the page or website. So if this is something, the web page itself is having issues, its server cannot find the page. It's trying to reach to the end page where the application is running, but the page either does not exist or it is not mapped correctly to reach the page, or the IP is not correctly mapped to reach the page. This is not related to networking. Actually, it's related to it's not able to find the page. 5 category errors come is related something to the networking, where it may have issues related to the gateway, maybe IP, it may have issues related to the like we see 502 gateway issues, 501 error kind of errors. So those we can troubleshoot and work on in this troubleshooting demo. So like we see here we have 502 error, and this is one category of error where we will be troubleshooting this. To troubleshoot this, we have to understand one thing, like we have already reviewed the flow. So we reviewed the flow and we were able to clarify that this end user is reaching anyway up to this pod. That's why in the nginx ingress controller logs we are able to see the pod IP. That's the point. If it is reachable, then somewhere in the pod something is something is problematic, that is not allowing the connection. So that we have to review. To do this, let's review first of all one by one. So we are sure that we are reaching up to the pod, so we have to directly review the pod. Go inside the pod now. App, this is the command to go inside the pod. Exec-it for interactive terminal, like we are going to interactively access the pod, and a shell. So we are inside the pod. Like now we are inside the pod. Let's see with the process running. Nginx is running here because I created this pod image with Alpine Nginx Alpine image. If you forgot that, let's just quickly review it from this Docker file, red file. If you remember, this is nginx Alpine and this is the default HTML page. Don't bother about this port as of now. This can be overwritten by pod manifest. So we are inside the pod. Nginx image is running. By default, Nginx is listening on port 80. How we can make it show? Netstat -tu-np. This is important part actually. This is a very systematic, you can say, approach to troubleshoot any kind of network related issues or these error issues, like whatever error you see, 502, 404 category, 300 category, this kind of error troubleshooting you can do with these basics command. So this is just one sequence. So I was able to reach the pod. Now I'm going inside the pod to make it sure what's happening there, what's the issue. Let us set ULLP, and like I see it's listening on port 80. So let's try to ping to that host name. Let's try to ping what is the hello dash world .info. Just simple to test if it is reachable or not. If it is reachable, and try to see http://hello dash world .info. Try to see if it is inside from the pod. Are you able to reach to this page? Yes, it is displaying the page, but it is not displaying in the browser. Here, when I am trying to access in the browser, it's not displaying, but here it is displaying. Let's try with 80 port. By default, it is 80 port already for HTTP. So that's why we don't need to pass 80 port. But if it is 8080, it is not happening. This is the issue now. You come to conclusion that this is the issue. Why? If you go inside the service manifest of this, or just simply in another terminal, open kubectl, describe svc app red. So you see here the target port was 8080, and I explained at the very beginning of this video the target port is something. I displayed some okay, I have one more diagram here, port mapping, something like, yeah, here target port is something where the container is actually running. Its container is actually listening. But here we concluded in this terminal, when we go inside the pod, this is working for 80, but not 8080. That is a problem. Means inside the pod, nginx is listening on port 80, but in service we are targeting to port, sorry, port red. What is the red one? Red one. This is a service port manifest, service manifest. No, this is not updated one here. We created actually from this one. Okay, if you remember, we created the service from command line, expose command. So this is the problem. Target is pointing to 8080, but inside the pod it is listening on 8080 only. That is the problem. So it's not working. That's the reason. Now we have two options. Either we can make the configuration of the pod to listen for the nginx to listen to only on port 8080. For that, you have to do one more thing, like you have to update the Docker file again and create a custom nginx.conf file and update the port to listen. Like there's a when we create an nginx server, since this is created for nginx, there's a nginx.conf file created. So, and this is the default file, but there is one more at nginx, sorry, conf.d and default.nginx. So with this you have to update it to 8080. So since this is listening on 80, so there are two methods. So either we have to recreate this pod. We cannot modify this from here. Even if we modify, since the pod is created from the image, so it will every time pull from the image. So there's no sense of updating the configuration inside the pod here. That is a benefit, or you can say drawback of the pod, but it's not drawback. Actually, it's the benefit. So because if you modify here, anyway, it's going to pull a latest image every time whatever is defined in the pod manifest. So it will pull again, and that manifest will be applied to the pod at current time. So even if we update it, it will be recreated. So there's no sense of updating this. So how we can do this? There's two ways. Either we can create a new image where in Docker file here, we have to add one more step, like here, copy nginx.conf and then again conf and copy this to this etc nginx and then nginx.conf. This is one way, and before to that you have to make this nginx.conf file available in your system here. So you have to create here nginx.file here like that and paste this content like this one, this content, the default nginx content file like this. I'm just giving you the idea how to do that, and here you have to add in this part where in servers you have to add one more component, server, and then in server where like this is listening to listen on port 8080 this time, like this one. Just copy this one, you can like that, or make it 8080 and 8080. Remove this, return required. So you have to make first of all available this custom nginx file, because this is a benefit of Docker file. Now you can relate it. Benefit of Docker file that you can customize your application like as per your need. You can just modify the index.html file, lots of GUI stuff you can add, CSS code, JavaScript code you can add, lots of things. And the same way you can make it listen to 8080 code. So once you do that, you have to update this docker.file and create again the same process. If you remember, you have to create one more image from this and post that in new image with new tag there, maybe same pair tag, it depends on you. And then the same image path you have to apply to the Docker file. But this is going to be little complex for us. So let's make it little shorter. I'm going to revert these changes because I'm not going to prefer this method. Let the nginx.conf file be there. It's not going to harm us. I will prefer another second method, which is I will better go in the service. Since the pod is inside pod, it's listening on 80 port, so I will better go to the service manifest and make the target port to 8080. That is the good solution. So let's apply kubectl-app. And before to apply, you have to make sure how many resources are running. Kubectl get pod as we see ingress. So before to apply, let's directly apply. Try to directly apply hyphen app. Make sure the name is the same name. So now this time earlier you created this service by expose command, but this time we are going to create it uh, app by manifest service. So this is another approach, or you can demonstration to make it clear. Like we can either create it from command line or by. So now describe the service. Describe as we see app red. So let's see. We made it able to listen on port 80. Endpoint is this one, and service is still running on 8080 port. So the service is running fine. So let's do this again. Kubectl get pod ingress service. Okay. So here and one hyphen o wide one more, so that we can see the IPs. Now try to access the page again. We come updated red. It's the same issue again. So no problem. Let's take a look on the logs. Okay, it's the same issue again. So let's again take a look on the logs of nginx. Here we see is we try to reach /red, and again we got 502 error. The reason is 558 8080. It's listening on 8080 port. And where's the port? 80 app red. Okay, you take a look on the logs of the port. Logs app red. Does it get the request? It gets the request, but from the curl we run inside the prod, not from the outside curl, because outside one it will display like Mozilla that way, that way. This is something we are seeing there. So here we will see like that. No. So we need to again troubleshoot it. What's happening again? So let's do describe the service again. Describe service app red. We made it able to listen on 80 port, and node port is not defined. We don't need it actually. Okay. And again describe the port app red. Something is still messing up. We need to make it sure all things running. Port is running on 80. Host port we have not defined. Host port is something it's exported to host machine. Okay, something is issue here. Let's copy this and try in incognito mode. Again, the bad. Does it apply to? Did we apply this to? Something is not good. Okay, something is not good here. It has not applied. I think change it. Delete the service. App red. Also delete the pod. Delete pod. Well, this is not good practice to delete the pod. That's the reason we should have a deployment in picture. If you don't want to delete the pod, because this deleting the pod means it's a production down scenario. So to avoid this, better to have a deployment. So every time if you need to touch anything or deploy the changes in the pod application, you don't need to delete the pod directly. You don't need to touch the pod directly. You can just apply the changes to pod deployment, and then deployment it will apply the changes to the pod one by one. Like it will first create the pod and then delete the older pod. I already explained this to the last class. So now let's see how many pods are running. What pod ingress service. Here we go. App blue running. Ingress is also already Let's say ingress app, ingress new. We have applied the changes to new. Let's better describe this ingress. kubectl get ingress. This is one ingress, so we can avoid passing the name because it's just one ingress already. So we have the ingress running with little modification like for backend red, its path is this one. This is just extra handling of the path, like you can say regular expression to handle the suffix or prefix values so that it can handle path and subpath. We can read more about this in the documentation page. And prefixes type and implementation pages. Okay, so we have two path type, prefix type, and there's a one more I added for testing, implementation specific. So I created one similar pod here. So this is just simply copy paste of the red or blue pod manifest and change of name only. I created one manifest here so that I can try to show you what is the difference in these path type or troubleshoot it in a better way. Sometimes this is a good approach to create a replica of the existing pod to troubleshoot, because sometimes in production you cannot directly touch those existing pod. Since before to apply or delete anything in the pod, you should try to debug as much as you can without touching or deleting the pod in production. This is a very important part. I will recommend you to keep this in your note. So the good approach is I just created a replica of this pod with a different name only. Naming does not make it more complex, like it is not making it more differ from the original pod. And the similar way, I created service for this. So again, the service is a copy paste of the app red or app blue, and just rename of the like service name here, app green. And another way, ingress, new ingress I just created so that I just can add this entry. The objective is to demonstrate that part type can be different. Like there are different category of part type in rules section of ingress, and also the annotations. Annotations are basically something is I will explain later on about this. This is a very important part, because this is once you're clear with this, you will never ever have to face any issues related to troubleshooting in the Kubernetes cluster. So I added this part as separate part because now I will be having one, two, and three pod. One I have, default one I have not already added it. We can add it later on. Ingress can be modified later on. It can be updated with new path every time. That is some immutable thing. So part type I kept it implementation specific. This is different from prefix. The reason is like there's a like a regular expression added to make it more better to handle. So URL can handle it more in a more better way. So if suppose in path slash green is added or something after slash green is added, then it should work. For that modification, the implementation path type should be implementation specific. This is one category. So now come back. Let's try to. I have already deleted those pod. Kubectl get app red pod I have deleted. So I'm going to apply this app green service pod and hyphen app green and you can say service. Okay, so it created pod and service, and already we have described this ingress. It's already running with this updated changes for green. So let's take a look. Get pod ingress service -o wide. Green is running. This is the service map to it with the labels selector and app green, and ingress is already mapped with this for this service. It's already pointing because we already added the path. Now go in the browser, try to have a look on the green. Does it make difference? Good, it worked. That means it was some here issue with the path as well. We fixed two things here. There were two issues. One was the port, because earlier we validated the port was not working anyway. Now the same curl, if I fire from local, not from inside the pod, but from local, it should work. Uh, this is not a correct method. That's why it's giving HTTP 4. Again, it's not a correct method. Green. Okay. So you see, this is important to notice. If you do simply curl with the URL, curl with the HTTP this thing, it is giving 404 not found. 404 not found again is something I explained already. 40 category error is something when page is not able to correct. Since we have not provided the slash path here, that's why it was not able to understand where actually is the page, because if you pass the slash green, then only nginx is able to understand, okay, I have to pass this to the application where green pod is running, app green is running, because of this mapping, this, and then service here, this, and then further is pointing to the app green. Okay, this is the fundamental. So now we have validated that green app is running, but red and blue are still not running. The reason, let's try to figure out. We have already this is the safest way to apply the changes or to troubleshoot any issues. So now we know that if any ports, let's say blue is already running, red we have deleted, we should not have deleted, assuming this is a production thing. So we need to compare this change simply, as simple as that. Like just compare the selected files. There's nothing changed. Names are fine. Names, these are okay. Port is good. So this comparison is good. We don't need to do anything here. The port manifest is good. That means we validated green is not differ by red in terms of port, in terms of service or port number, whatever. So the same way, there's no major difference except name. So then name is fine. And then now we will see ingress. Ingress we will see here. I have mentioned prefix type here, prefix part type for red, but here we have implementation specific. So just copy this and paste it from implementation specific. Sometimes it may work with prefix as well. It depends on the use case of the API type. So if a user want to have the API to have only with slash path, sometimes user want like it should work with API XYZ. If it is available, then it should also work. See, it's working with the slash XYZ also. So this is extra handling. But red is not working. 503 times. Now this is another category of error. So you will see a variety of errors and you can easily understand the reason behind this. Now you tell me what's the reason behind this for this error. Very easy to understand, because the service is actually not running. Get pod ingress service. Blue is running, green is running, blue is running, green is running, pod is running, but application is not running. Let's try to apply the changes. Pod for red we can run, pod we can create and try to see I think something. Okay, sorry, apply is just apply, not get apply. So again, we have the pod running, but not service still. Let's try to see if something changed in the error. It's still the same. 503 service not available, because it's trying to reach the slash red hat and there's no mapping in the, it's reaching to the ingress. Let's try to look on the logs of ingress as well. It's try to reach ingress. That means it's reaching to the ingress here, in nginx ingress here, ingress. But ingress from ingress also, since ingress has defined the path red, it also reached to here, but it is not able to find the service because service is not running for the red. As soon as we create the service, it should work. But let's play something more. Delete pod app red. I have just deleted the red pod, but now I will create service for this. Apply -f red as we see, so that we can understand from the flow from top to bottom what is the difference in the error type. Now refresh it again. It's again the same 503 service. temporary unavailable. Means it is reaching to the nginx ingress controller. It should be first of all HTTP type, not HTTPS. So it's reaching to nginx ingress controller to ingress, and this is passing to the service. Service is available, but from service the pod is not available. As soon as we create the pod here, it it should change the error type. Now here we go. We have the pod available here. Now we have seen this. We have not modified this implementation specific. Still this is just modified in the file but not yet. Let's just double check it. Ingress -yml. Yeah, we have not applied the changes to the prefix. It's still the same, but it worked. Maybe in the cookies and cache it was not updated. That's why it was not showing the previous file. So this is very good thing to understand. Now try to see the blue one. Blue is still not working because in blue the service is okay. The service is still pointing to the 8080 port because we have created it from manifest, not from cubes, not from what we say. We created from expose command, not from manifest. kubectl delete service or just edit service this time. This is command to edit the existing service running app blue. So I am going to make it target port to listen on 80 only because inside container we validated, it's edited. Now let's see. Fine. So here we go. We have service updated, but I see blue may not work here because again the same cookies and cache issues. Let's try to delete the pod as well. Delete pod app blue and recreate it. kubectl apply -app blue and pod manifest. Let me just double check if pod manifest is all good. Pod manifest is all good. Yes, it's listening on port 80. That is fine. And the list labels are app blue. That is important. Again, see pod ingress. So we have app blue, app green, app red running. We validated app. We validated blue is not running. Red is running. Sorry, not this one. The path should be red, green. We also double check. We can pass another subpath. Let's say ABC. It's still working because we have added extra handler for regular expression in terms of regular expression in the nginx computer. But blue is not working. So now blue is working because we deleted the pod. You have to apply the changes to the pod. So that is another further level of benefit of having the deployment. We should not have faced this issue as soon as we apply the changes to the deployment. Now we are clear. We have blue, red, and green running. We have discovered the error type here. Let me review this. Okay, hold on. Okay, so we just discover 503 error type, 404, 403, lots of error type we can identify. So let's play around with it more. I will do one thing. I will go ingress inside ingress and just remove this extra handler and make this prefix type still the same and apply this app. Apply this ingress, new ingress, app, ingress, and new. Make sure the new one. I have updated the changes in ingress new, and this is just a play around for your better understanding of the stuff. So you have made this with less handler because as of now you can access red with any path. You see, it's still working, but let's try to see if it's not working with the this when we updated the prefix type without extra handler or variable expressions. So apply the changes. Okay, it has given some warning. Doesn't worry about it, and then get again ingress and now try to see it is still working because we have to delete the pod and recreate the pod, or you just say apply the pod. Delete that's the benefit actually of having deployment. Every time you have to delete the pod and create the pod, better to have a deployment in your system when you are doing it, app red, and then recreate the pod again. Recreate the pod. That is the drawback of just having pod. So it's working. Some here. Let's try to see if actually ingress was updated. Get ingress -OYML. I suspect it was okay. That is applied with prefix. So without even extra handler, it was working. So we are able to identify the root cause was the port only. I think you are very clear now with the port configuration. So inside the target port, if service is mentioning the target, so in service manifest, if target port is mentioned 80, then application inside the port should be running with the port 80. This is how you can debug around 502, 503, 501, 404, lots of error types. Let's do some more mistake like now I'm kubectl get port ingress. Okay, before you do that, let's try to modify. Let's try to see the logs, the positive logs. In nginx ingress controller, you can see the positive logs. Positive logs means you are getting 200 response now. Here you see http 2.0 and 200 response. As soon as let's try one more thing. You are trying with https thread. Okay, this should be updated. As soon as you fired here, you should be able to see this. You see here, you see you got this subpath here in the logs updated, and that is saying 200 is response because it's displaying the content in the web page. So this with this we complete like how to troubleshoot different categories of error. For this, I have created one small documentation where I have tried to kept how to fix these basic issues related to the error type. Not much about this, like four error. I will post this in this documentation. My this you can say presentation. And with this, we are able to conclude like we are able to launch pod. We are now good to understand the users of nginx ingress controller, ingress service pod deployment. In further steps, we will be moving ahead to fix other issues related to the pod state. So there are various kind of pod states. Like their pod can have a failure. When you see there's a pod running already here with error. You see there's one already pod running error with app default is running with error, and it is having image pullback of error. So this is one category of error. It's very easy in Kubernetes to understand this kind of error. So I have documented some of the errors here, like image pullbackoff error, CrashLoopbackoff error, error image pullbackoff, and then image inspect error, create container config error, cannot run error, deadline exceeded, pod initialization. These are various categories of error states in Kubernetes. This is mostly asked in interview questions. When if you're good to answer few of those at least, interviewer will be impressed by your explanation and by your experience or expertise in the Kubernetes part, because he will understand that you actually worked on the troubleshooting part. So if you know these error type and how to fix those, at least few, then it is very good for you to crack any category of interview or to solve any complex problems. Now, understanding these errors is not very tough task. Image pullback of error is just very clear with the name. I have already added the description. The container runtime failed to pull the container image specified in the POS specification manifest. This could be due to various reasons such as image not being found, permission issues, or network problem. I will dig more about this. So if you see this pod is still failing with image pullbackoff. Let's try to take a look on the manifest of this file. To how to get manifest? Get pod app default -OYML. Okay, sorry. Hmm. So you see here, image is this one. Okay, it is the right path, although, but issue is this is a private image. So when you mention here the private image, you have to tell this pod manifest that when this pod manifest is actually reaching to the Docker hub to pull this image, then it will Docker hub will ask where's the credential? Do you have my credential? So basically, this pod manifest need credential for your Docker hub. So this is a very important concept in Kubernetes to fix all this kind of error. This is not just the one single reason for this image pullback error to have. So basically, let me rewind again. We are as of now focusing on image pullback error. So this is error is very clear, like it is having issues either because of image not found, permission issue, or network problem. So maybe from where it is trying to reach, that hub is not reachable. Like if I'm trying to pull the image from DSCR or ECR or GitHub, then maybe it's not reachable. Maybe internet is not internet is not allowed, or internet your Wi-Fi had blocked that ECR access or a Docker hub, so that is not reachable. So that is one reason. Another, maybe you have not provided the permissions to the ECR or from where you are pulling the image. This is the case in our case. Third reason can be maybe the path is wrong or is not able to find that image basically. So this is very basic simple reason for this. And when this issue comes to you, the Kubernetes team of DevOps engineer is responsible to fix this issue, not the developer. I will come to these certain types of error where every like a responsible team is responsible for a specific error handling. Like so, for this one, like come again. We have a manifest for default. What this one? So this is the default manifest. In this case, the path is good, and sometimes image pullback can be could be because of the reason like let's try to this play around with this blue pod. I did what? I just removed this prefix path and deleted the pod, delete pod, app red, and apply kubectl apply app pod app red pod. So you will see this pod will be in the error state. Oh, it's running. I think it's already well. This is running because system is already have the image in my local. If I do images, so it's already there. I have to remove this image first of all. Uh, uh, but before to remove image, I have to delete the pod. Docker. If I will do Docker RMI image ID, it will fail. For sure, it will fail because it's using somewhere must image is reinforced in multiple repositories. It is actually somewhere used. Delete pod app red. Oh, maybe it's not still deleting. Hyphen, do we have add option? Okay, it's not deleting actually. So I have to clean up this environment. Maybe some other pod. Sorry, I'm trying to delete green and it's not the green one. I was focused on the red one actually. So kubectl. Let's try to apply again. Should have error. Red is running because it's pulling the image from my local. Anyway, my objective was to show you that if it is not in your local, then the path should be exactly the complete path. If the path is wrong, then it will also show the same error image pull. Now you have already seen this error image pull is another type similar to image pull back off. This is the second error we already covered in the same. So you may see with this two type of error image pull back off, error image pull. Similar to image pullback this state indicates that the container runtime encountered an error while trying to pull the container image. It could be due to authentication issues, network problem, or images not existing. It's the same way, but the different image different error name. So you can say. So now again, so you see the same app displayed the same error again few minutes back, and now it is having a new error type. So basically, this inner type name is same and the reason is also same. So we are going to fix this. How we fix this now? Now we got already that this is not because of path. Go to the pod the default. This is not because of path, because path is good, because we have identified in the default Docker Hub the path is this already good. App default latest. The latest tag is there. If there's another, try to see if there's another tag. So latest tag is there. So this is the already good path. But the issue is with the authentication, because this is a private repository. This is a private repository. So we have to tell our pod manifest that okay, take the credentials and then go to the pod uh, to the sorry Docker Hub to pull that image. So if the pod manifest is having credentials, then it will go to the manifest of the Docker Hub and then will be able to pull that image, because it's right now it's not able to pull because of machine credentials. So basically here somehow we have to add the credentials in manifest. How to do that? This is very important part. Important part of Kubernetes. Here comes in picture the secret. In Kubernetes, we have another resources like pod, service, deployment, a secret resource. So the same way we can create a secret, kubectl create secret, let's say pod default access. And so the point is we can create secret either by command line or by you can say manifest. So even if you don't want to create from manifest or not remembering the manifest, you can generate a manifest. Uh, okay, I think some syntax is there. Okay, for creating secret, you have to pass the key values for secret, because secret is something which is having the secret of your user. I mean portal somewhere. In this case, Docker Hub. So if it is having secret of your Docker Hub, so it may have either in form of username or password, or in the form of a token. So the point is I have to pass here the key value form of my password or username or token basically. So let's review how to do that. Once we create secret, I have to use the secret in this. So again, our objective was to pass a secret or credential somewhere in this pod manifest, so that this pod manifest can understand, okay, this repo is a private, this image is a private repository, private image, and that I can pull only when I have the credentials, and that credential cannot be directly written here. To write the credentials here, to pass the credential for the in the pod, you have to add a secret concept. For that, you have to first of all create a secret resource. I will do that, and then pass this in this pod manifest with some syntax, proper syntax. You can like found create secrets in the documentation. Create secret Kubernetes. So once you create secret, you have CLI approach, you have GUI approach. I mean, sorry, manifest approach. You have, this is just simple way. You create a secret. You can just pass here the secret simple name and the value for the credentials. So this is something, and how it will be used. Once you create this either manifest, either CLI way, then you can use the same secret like this here, Docker, this one. You can use the same secret inside the pod. It will be showing somewhere in the pod how to use the same in the pod. Okay, the same secret you can use as a name, secret reference, volumes, secret reference, and the name of secret. So this is something I have to pass in my pod manifest after I create a secret. So let's do that. So let's move on to create the credentials. I mean the secrets. To create the secret, you don't need to be more panic like how to create. There's a official documentation from Kubernetes itself for a specific purpose. So The secret concept is actually a vast concept separately that can be tackled in a different class. But as of now, for requirement of this, like if we need to pull the image from the private repository, we already have a category of secrets. So there are lots of category of secrets we can create based on the user's requirement. When sometimes a pod needs some secret info, some a pod need a credentials. So credentials can be of any form. So here our requirement is to simply create a secret or pull should be able to pull a image from a private repository. So simply see like create a pod YML to Docker Hub credential as secret, something like that. So there's an official documentation from Kubernetes, pull an image from a private repository. If you open this, is simply saying that if you are in need to pull an image from a private repository, you have to update your pod manifest to configure the secret credentials so that your pod can know, okay, the image I'm going to pull from any repository, if it is a Docker, ECR, private repository, any location it is, not only Docker Hub, it will pull from the configured credential as in the pod manifest. So there are lots of steps here. If you can see, you just need to follow those steps for Docker login, copy the configuration file, and this will have like in your system, if you're already logged in with the Docker, like a Docker, if I log in with Docker, I'm already logged in. That's why I'm able to pull the image from Docker. That's why it has not shown any error. It just simply said Docker login. So I must be having this file, Docker config file with authentication, but I'm not going to show that. I will prefer another method. This depends on you. Like you can have any method to configure the credential token method. This is the code token method, a credential based on the password and username. So this will be the credential method. So in this method, you just need to get the config file and pass this config file in the command line. Once this is done, you will use the same secret. It will have this kind of secret created, but I will prefer a command line with the password and credentials. So this is a command to let's just keep entering the value. Okay, so let's go. My username is pg3391@gmail.com, and password I will not display here. I will just pause this video for password. uh, Later on I will put this value. Username I can display is pg3391, and the Docker server IP. So this, if you're not much sure what is the IP, you can just go here. You can see here it is displaying here sample IP like index.docker.io. This is something sample IP, Docker registry IP. I mean URL. So Docker have this is just you need to copy this and simply paste this here. Only thing needed here is to enter the password. As soon as I enter the password and enter, it will create a secret. Let me pause the video and enter the password, and here we go. Mm, So here we created index.docker.io/v1. Correct, this correct. Okay, and then enter. Something alright. I just simply okay. Okay, so it's created. Let me clear the screen and resume the video again. So let me see if it will get secrets, pod, secrets, ingress. So it will say this is created. Secret is created. Earlier, this pod is running with older image because I mean let's just verify this is running with the older image default -OYML older manifest, so it do not have the configuration of the secret we have configured. So you see there's no secret configured. So the point is like we have already created the secret. Now we need this secret to pass to the manifest. So we will do one thing. Let's go to the ingress app default prod, and here we just need to add a field that we can get simply from the same documentation page. It is saying at the last, after you have created secrets by any method, depends on you. You have to just simply add one line, image pull secrets, this line only. Make sure indentation is same, like it should be in the parallel to the container. Okay, and then save. Once this is saved, I will simply apply hyphen app default pod. Okay, it's failing, so first delete this pod, delete already running pod, app default pod, and then apply default and clear the screen, and again apply. So it created. Now get pod ingress service, and let's say secrets as well. So we have this pod running in running state. So if you so now you are good to resolve the image pull back of error or error image like we displayed here. So we are good to resolve this error state here. We described already here, image pull back of error image pull. So this is very good concept. I hope you are very clear now with the logic. Actually, the logic should be clear. There may be various ways to fix this issues, or various reason to have a specific error in picture. So now we are good to solve the image pullback of error. Now we will focus on different things. But let's do one more thing to test. We have ingress still running, but not with that updated, like I just want to test the web page for now. Default I have not tested, like default this I have not tested, because it's not, it will get 404 not found, because application is running. See, application is running, service is running, but the issue is, let's see, service benefits, it is the port fine, but ingress is not having the entry for this. So let's copy this path and paste at the bottom, and let's make it default. You can give any other name as well, it don't need to be default only. This is important actually, because this is mapped with the service name. And then apply this updated manifest of ingress, apply hyphen f ingress app ingress, and then new. So now again, see, clear the screen, and then now we have this updated, but I think we have to delete the pod as well. Pod, delete pod to make this change, apply it, and then up again, create a new pod. So again, this is a drawback of creating a pod, deleting pod. Better would we would have configured deployments to make it easy. So let's app default pod. Okay, so make sure the default pod app is updated with the image pullback of secrets, because we created the secrets. So kubectl get pod and all those resources. Now we are good, and let's hit it again. Oh, it's a bad gateway. No, this is a task for you to troubleshoot. I think you guys will be good to troubleshoot why this is failing. Because we have already discussed this part in very detail in this previous issues. So with this, let me conclude. I have covered fundamental of deployment process, like ingress and all the resources that is required, and the error type. This is a front-end application error type we may face, like we are seeing in display, which is in the which is of HTTP error method, error types actually. So it can be of any type. We can fix the error based on the requirement. We can play more around this application. Just I will say, just do some mistakes somewhere here in the application code, and then try to see if it's accessible. It may fail. It may fail with a different error. Video, just go on. So with this, you can play around with all the manifest and see there may be a different type of errors in your display. Like, okay, I left with one more thing I was about to explain you. This is the important part, annotations. So how actually nginx ingress controller or HA proxy depend on the controller type, nginx controller type, how it's going to identify that I need to connect to that ingress because of this annotations. For every new release, this may change. Like sometimes it is only ingress, sometimes it is just nginx dot ingress. So this thing you can check on the specific documentation part of controller. So if it is an nginx, then you can go to the manifest of documentation page of nginx and see actually the annotations for this, how the annotation should be defined. So when I define this nginx in here, this annotation, based on these annotations only, it is understanding my ingress is understanding, not nginx ingress controller. My ingress is understanding, since I have defined this in ingress. So because of this, my ingress will understand, okay, I need to be connected to that ingress controller. So that's why ingress controller is forwarding traffic to this specific ingress, and then ingress is forwarding it to the specific service, and then service is further with label service and selected to the specific pod. So I hope this is very clear now. So with this, let me conclude again. I covered the error types and state types. So still few things left. I just covered here image pullback of error type. Here there are a couple of more states of pod. Like sometime you will see state as a crash loop back off. Crash loop back off is simply an issue with when there's an issue with the pod. I mean, container itself. The container is not crash loop back off means containers pod is trying to create a container, but it is failing because there is some issue in the container, because maybe the Docker file is not in format, or it is missing something. So we can just play around with this. Like I will give an exercise to you, like create another image and make a mail form syntax, like maybe do this green dots. By default, green dot HTML is not existing. Let's I will say better. Okay, do some issues. I mean, in container, if you are having some issues like in terms of copying something, then you will fail this container anyway. So the point is, if there is issue in the pod, in the code, or in the container, then there will be the error of crash loop back off, that you can also see in real time. I will do with cover this in further exercises. I think this is going to language the video again. So better let's have this in a separate conversations, because still a couple of things are left. We just cover the error types of the API front end and the error types of states here. Now, furthermore, few things left, like sometimes you will see here pending node not ready status here, because sometimes pod is not able to launch to that pod that node. So if you do like kubectl get pods -o wide, it will show the pod launched on different node. It for now minikube, it's minikube with the same single node. If I see get node, so minikube is just a single node here. This node name. Minikube have just created one node. This, but in standard system, you will have here in display different node names. So maybe one pod is launched on one node, different is on another node. Maybe one or two, all three pods are launched on one common node. It depends on like a configuration of the pod. For that, we have labels and selector also. Like in app pod manifest, we can define a label or selector so that this pod should be launched on a specific pod, node only. And the same way, there are other concepts like 10 tolerations, like this pod should not be launched on that node, should be launched. Those conditions or more extra values can be configured in the pod manifest, so that we have the desired way of deployment. This one very simple scenario for this is, if you see like pods, all pod, you will see like these all pods are always like these API server controller. These are always executed on, always are launched on master node only. Why? Because the configuration of the deployment of these pods are made in a way that this is always selecting the master node. But in this case, it's our minikube is the single master or worker node. so you won't be able to see this. But let me try still to show you where you can see this. Cube system. Let's cube system describe. Hmm. Well, let's see. I'm trying to display the pod launched on master in a standard deployment of Kubernetes. So somewhere here, if you see tolerations, you have the tolerations and these field configured here. And because of node name, like node name, it is configured. Usually we created the pod, we have not defined here the node name, right? We have not defined here node name. But when we configure the Kubernetes cluster, some pods are only launched in the master. So the objective to tell you is that we can define these specific parameters to have our pod or pod to be launched on a specific node. So here this is a parameter. That's why this controller pod is always launched on the master node. Here it's a minikube. By default, it is both node as of now. So that's the point. So basically, we can have this extra configuration configured in our pod. Okay, that's fine. So let's just conclude very quickly. Like I will try to end this video. This is a very systematic diagram how to troubleshoot. Like when you get this issue, so where should be starting? Like it's not a zoom image. Let me try to zoom this. You will do kubectl will get pods. Is there any pending pod? If you will say state as pending, I was talking about pending will be displayed because it, pod is not able to see any node which is available. Maybe the node is not available because of CPU usage is already high, and that node is not having that capacity or is not having buffer to have that pod accept in its node. So it cannot accept that pod in its server, I mean instance. So this is the reason pending state comes. And describe pod, then if it yes, then describe pod. If no, if it is not pending, are the pods running? Yes. Are the pod ready? No. No, then describe pod again. Yes. No. If yes, describe pod again. If not running, then give city logs, do the logs. Okay, that way you can just have a look on this complete flow, and it will make you very easy to understand, because you have to play around already with these stuffs on your own. It's just not something like you can just read it and it will work for you. You have to play around. Okay, let me conclude this video before I wrap up. So this is something we have covered, like pull the image in registry, and then uh, I mean push the image in the registry, and then pull the image, created the resources, pod, service, deployment, ingress, and then nginx ingress controller by just minikube method, and the front end user is using it. In the second page, just something in the deep inside, we have created these things: controller, ingress, mapping, complete mapping, end to end. We have to see, we have reviewed what are the issues it can have and how we can troubleshoot these stuff. And this is the node configuration, how the node configuration should look like. It does not necessarily like you have this only mentioned port, but you can have your design port as well. Like it depends on you. So you should be good to understand. This is a web page available, and the web page is available on the node port because service type is node port. Okay, I think this is fine for this troubleshooting class. I think this is covering complete stuff. Before I wrap up, I will like to listen your review or comment in the comment section so that I may know what extra classes you need in Kubernetes, because I have extensive experience of around 5 to 6 years in Kubernetes, and I can help not in Kubernetes only, in cloud architect role as well. I can help you to deploy Kubernetes, troubleshoot issues, any stuff related to DevOps, cloud architect role. So please feel free to comment in the comment section and let me know what extra topic you need to discuss. I will try to create the topics and give you a live demo so that you can crack any interview or solve your own issues. That's it for this class. Thank you very much. Bye for now.